All right, so picture this. You walk into a salsa club, the music's pumping, and you see a robot on the dance floor.
Oh, wow.
It's got the steps down, maybe even the timing,
Okay.
but it's just missing that,
Yeah.
that feeling.
Uh,
That's kind of where we are with AI
yeah,
when
yeah.
it comes to like mimicking human decision making.
Right.
It can do all the like number crunching and the pattern spotting super fast, but like replicating the way we think.
It's a whole other thing.
That's a whole other dance, right?
Yeah, and it's fascinating how humans make decisions
Mm-hmm.
based on so much more than just logic. Like our
Yeah.
emotions,
Yeah.
our experiences,
Yeah.
our gut feelings. Like all of that stuff plays a role in how we navigate the world.
And that's what we're diving into today.
Absolutely.
You've been exploring AI and specifically the work of Kevin Brake.
Yeah.
So we thought, hey, this would be a perfect deep dive.
Great.
His Bridging the Gaps paper
Yeah.
really highlights some interesting obstacles in AI that are preventing it from becoming truly, human-like in its thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. And his research is really pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible with AI, I think.
Okay.
He doesn't just lay out the problems.
Yeah.
He offers potential solutions too, which is what I think is really exciting about his work.
Okay, I'm all ears. So hit me with one of these gaps that Brake talks about. What's a hurdle AI needs to clear?
Well, imagine trying to explain a joke to someone who doesn't understand, you know, cultural references or sarcasm.
Mm-hmm.
It might get the words but, like the meaning is lost.
Right.
And that's the first big gap.
Okay.
AI's lack of true understanding.
Yeah.
It can process information,
Right.
but grasping like the underlying meaning, the context, the nuances,
Yeah.
that's where things get tricky.
So it's like AI can read a recipe, but it doesn't know how to adjust it based on like the humidity in the kitchen
Exactly.
or how ripe the tomatoes are or something like that.
Got it.
No intuition, no real comprehension of the situation.
And Brake suggests a pretty cool strategy for addressing this, which is contextual and experiential learning.
Okay.
So like instead of just force-feeding AI data, we need to create environments where it can learn from experience, like humans do.
So it's less about like cramming information into its quote unquote brain and more about letting it,
Yeah.
learn by experiencing the world firsthand.
Right. Think about like learning a language.
Mm.
You can memorize vocabulary lists
Yeah.
all day long,
Yeah.
but you'll truly understand it by living in that country,
Yeah.
interacting with people, experiencing the culture.
Wow, I never thought about it like that. That makes so much sense. Okay, what's another obstacle that Brake talks about?
Okay, so this one's kind of mind-bending.
Okay.
Imagine a thought process like a branching tree.
Okay.
Like you start with one idea
Uh-huh.
and it leads to another, then another,
Yeah.
and pretty soon you've got this like complex web of interconnected thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's how humans think.
Okay.
But AI,
Hmm.
it's more like a straight line following a predetermined path.
So it's stuck following the rules
Yeah,
while we can,
yeah.
jump between ideas, make connections, and be a little more creative, I guess.
Exactly. We can make leaps, draw from different experiences, even like connect a smell to a childhood memory.
Yeah. Right.
AI, on the other hand, struggles with that kind of like dynamic thought process.
Mm-hmm.
It's limited by its programming.
That makes sense. So how do we help it break free from those limitations? How do we teach it to like branch out and think a little more like a human?
Well, Brake suggests something called dynamic memory structures.
Okay.
And it's a way of like designing AI so it can make those leaps of thought,
Mm-hmm.
just like our brains do.
Right.
Instead of just following preset paths, it can make connections between ideas in a more like fluid, flexible way.
So it's like giving it the ability to like brainstorm or have aha moments, I guess.
Exactly. And it's a crucial step towards helping AI understand the world in a more nuanced, human-like way.
This is all so fascinating. Okay, you've got to give me another one of these gaps. I'm hooked.
Okay, this next one is all about how AI learns.
Okay.
So humans are constantly learning and adapting,
Yeah.
right? It's a continuous process of building on what we know and integrating new information.
Right.
But traditional AI,
Yeah.
it often learns in a very disconnected way,
Yeah.
from these massive data dumps.
So it's like cramming for a test the night before versus truly understanding a subject.
You got it. And Brake believes AI needs to become more like a student who's actively engaged in the learning process.
Mm-hmm.
He suggests implementing incremental learning mechanisms.
Incremental learning, what does that mean exactly?
It's about letting AI learn gradually,
Okay.
building on what it already knows, and adapting to new information in real time.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like how we learn a skill through, like, practice and feedback.
So it's less about like downloading all the knowledge at once and more about like letting it learn and evolve over time.
Exactly. It's about making AI a more active participant in the learning process, constantly refining its understanding based on new experiences.
Okay, this is blowing my mind. So AI needs to learn more like a human. But is there anything else that's holding it back from truly understanding the world like we do?
There is, and it's a big one.
Ooh.
Think about how we experience the world through our senses.
Mm-hmm.
Touch, taste, smell, sight, sound.
Yeah.
These sensory experiences shape our understanding of everything.
Mm-hmm.
AI, on the other hand, often lacks that grounding in physical reality.
Right.
It's processing information,
Yeah.
but it's not experiencing it the way we do.
So it's like trying to understand what an apple tastes like just by reading about it,
Yeah,
but you never actually bite into one.
that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And this lack of embodied experience is a major hurdle for AI.
Right.
It's like trying to learn about the world from a textbook without ever actually being in the world.
So how do we give AI a body,
Right.
so to speak?
Right.
How do we help it experience the world more like we do?
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Break suggests some, like, pretty radical ideas.
Right.
One is to pair AI with robots
Okay.
or, virtual environments,
Mm-hmm.
giving it a way to, like, interact with the world.
So like giving it a robot body
Yeah,
or putting it in a simulation where it can learn by doing.
exactly. Like,
Yeah.
it's like letting a child learn about gravity, not by explaining the laws of physics,
Right.
but by letting them, like, drop a ball and see what happens.
Right. Right.
AI needs that kind of, like, hands-on experience to truly understand the world.
Wow. That's a game changer. If we can give it a way to experience the world like we do, wouldn't that revolutionize its ability to learn and make decisions?
It absolutely could. And it's a key step towards, like, bridging the gap between artificial intelligence and human cognition.
Right.
But there's still a few more obstacles to overcome,
Okay.
And Break has some fascinating strategies for tackling those as well.
Okay, you've got me on the edge of my seat. What's next on our list of gaps? This deep dive is getting deeper by the minute. Okay, I'm ready for more. We've talked about how AI needs context, a more dynamic way of thinking, even a body to experience the world. What else is standing in the way of AI really, grokking things like a human?
Okay. Well, there's this thing that humans do pretty naturally, which is we understand that correlation doesn't equal causation.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
just because people carry umbrellas when it's raining, it doesn't mean umbrellas cause the rain.
Right, right. Yeah, that's basic logic.
It is for us.
Yeah.
But AI often stumbles here. It's great at spotting patterns in data,
Yeah.
but it can jump to conclusions about, like, what causes what.
Right.
And, that can be a big problem.
Yeah. So how do we teach it to think more like a detective?
Yeah.
Figuring out the real culprit instead of just latching onto the most obvious suspect.
Break suggests incorporating something called causal inference algorithms into AI systems.
Okay.
Basically, these algorithms help AI figure out the why behind the what.
Okay.
They help it understand, like, the chain of events, not just the coincidence of things happening together.
So it's like giving AI the ability to like tell a story, to connect the dots and understand the narrative behind the data.
Exactly. And that could have, like, huge implications
Yeah.
for everything from, like, scientific discoveries to making fairer decisions in areas like loan approvals or even criminal justice.
Whoa, that's heavy stuff. We're talking about like AI making life-altering decisions, which makes me think about another gap we touched on earlier, the whole ethics thing.
Right. That's a big one. So humans, we have this whole moral compass that guides our decisions based on emotions, values, like right and wrong. AI in its current form,
Yeah.
it doesn't have that. It's like that classic thought experiment. A runaway train is about to hit 5 people, but you can pull a lever to divert it to a track where it'll only hit 1 person. Do you pull the lever? There's no easy answer, and it's loaded with ethical considerations.
Ugh, my brain hurts just thinking about that. So how do we program a sense of right and wrong into AI?
Well, it's tricky.
Yeah.
And Break emphasizes the need for, like, collaboration here.
Okay.
We need, like, computer scientists working with ethicists, philosophers, maybe even anthropologists
Wow.
to like figure out how to translate our human values
Yeah.
into something an AI can like understand.
So it's like we need to create a whole new language of ethics for AI, one that like captures the nuances of human morality. But I gotta say, I'm a little nervous about this.
Yeah.
What if we like accidentally program the wrong values?
That's a valid concern, and it's why this research is so important. We need to be extremely like careful and thoughtful about how we approach AI ethics.
Yeah.
But if we can get it right, imagine the possibilities.
Yeah.
You know, AI can help us make like fairer decisions, avoid harmful biases, and even become a force for good in the world.
Okay, I'm cautiously optimistic. But even if we solve the ethics puzzle, isn't there still the issue of like practicality? We talked about how AI needs like massive computing powers. Like it needs a whole power plant to run while our brains get by on a cup of coffee.
You're not wrong. The scalability of AI is a real challenge.
Yeah.
But Brake has some ideas here too.
Okay.
One is to optimize AI models to be more energy efficient,
Okay.
kind of like designing a car that gets, better gas mileage.
Right.
But he also talks about something even cooler,
Okay.
neuromorphic computing.
Neuromorphic computing. That sounds intense.
It's basically about designing computer chips that work more like brain cells.
Okay.
So instead of traditional transistors, they use like artificial neurons and synapses that can process information in a way that's much closer to how our brains do it.
So we're talking about building AI that's not just like inspired by the human brain, but actually mimics its structure and function.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this could be a game changer
Yeah.
in terms of like energy efficiency
Yeah.
and processing power.
This is all so mind-blowing. Okay, we've talked about making it more efficient, but what about, creativity? Can AI ever like truly be creative like a human?
Well, that's a question that like philosophers have been debating for centuries.
Yeah.
What is creativity, really?
Yeah.
Can it be replicated in a machine?
Right.
Brake believes that while AI may not have that like spark of genius that we associate with,
Yeah.
human creativity,
Right.
we can give it tools to explore new ideas
Mm-hmm.
and come up with like novel solutions.
So like giving it a paintbrush and letting it experiment with different colors and techniques.
Yeah, that's one way to think about it. He talks about generative approaches that allow AI to explore different possibilities and like come up with its own unique creations. And he also suggests hybrid systems that combine like AI's computational power with more traditional logic-based approaches.
It's like giving AI both the paintbrush and the knowledge of like color theory.
Oh, that's a cool way to put it.
Yeah.
So we're not necessarily trying to make AI into like, a Mozart or a Picasso,
Yeah.
but we can give it the tools to,
Yeah.
express itself in new and interesting ways.
Exactly.
Okay.
And who knows, maybe someday AI will surprise us
Yeah.
with a masterpiece that, we never could have imagined.
Right.
But there's one final gap we need to talk about, and it's perhaps the most like philosophical of them all.
Okay.
Motivation.
Motivation, what do you mean?
Well, think about what drives you.
Mhm.
Curiosity, a desire to learn, a sense of purpose. Like humans have all sorts of like intrinsic motivations that shape our actions.
Right. But AI,
Mm.
it doesn't have those like innate desires.
Right.
It needs to be programmed with goals.
So it's like AI is a car that needs a driver.
Yeah.
It's got all this potential power, but it's not going to go anywhere unless someone tells it where to go.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And Brake's research is exploring ways to give AI its own like internal compass, so to speak.
Okay.
He's looking at things like curiosity algorithms
Uh-huh.
that encourage like AI to explore and learn on its own without needing explicit instructions.
So instead of just following orders, it could be driven by its own like internal desire to like discover and understand the world.
Exactly. It's about giving AI a sense of like agency,
Yeah.
allowing it to set its own goals and pursue its own interests. And that raises some really interesting questions.
Yeah.
If we can program AI with intrinsic motivation, like what kind of motivation should we choose?
Yeah.
What kind of AI do we want to create?
Whoa, that's a deep one. It's like we're not just talking about building smarter machines. We're talking about like shaping the very nature of intelligence itself.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it's a conversation that we need to be having now,
Yeah.
before AI becomes so advanced that it starts making its own decisions
Right.
about what it wants to do. But for now, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about some of the the resources that delve further into these topics.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
I mean, we talked about how AI needs context, a more dynamic way of thinking, even a quote-unquote body to experience the world, right?
Yeah.
We touched on ethics, scalability, even programming in a sense of motivation. It's almost like AI needs a whole, like, human starter kit to really get up and running like we do.
Yeah, it's true. And what's so cool about Kevin Brake's research is that, he doesn't shy away from these challenges.
Right.
He's not just trying to, like, make AI incrementally better. He's aiming for, like, a paradigm shift,
Yeah.
He wants to bridge that fundamental gap between how humans and machines think.
It's like he's saying, okay, we've got this awesome technology, but let's not just throw data at it and hope for the best. Let's
Yeah.
actually try to understand what makes human intelligence unique and see if we can, like, translate that into AI, right?
Exactly. And I think that's why this work is, like, resonating with so many people.
Mhm.
It's not just about building smarter machines. It's about exploring
Yeah.
the very nature of intelligence itself.
Yeah. When we started this deep dive, I pictured that robot on the dance floor trying to salsa, but just missing the feeling. But now I'm starting to imagine something different. What if, instead of just mimicking the steps, AI could actually feel the rhythm, the emotion, the joy of the dance? That's what Brake's research is hinting at, right?
It really is.
Yeah.
He's pushing us to imagine an AI that doesn't just think like us, but also feels like us, in a sense.
Yeah.
An AI that understands not just the logic of a situation,
Right.
but also, like, the human context,
Yeah.
the emotional weight of a decision.
That's a powerful idea, but also a little daunting. If we create AI that's that sophisticated, what are the implications?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's one that we as a society need to be grappling with, like, right now.
Mhm.
If we can crack the code of human-like AI, the possibilities are, both exhilarating and terrifying.
Yeah, on the one hand, you've got AI collaborating with scientists to cure diseases,
Right.
composing symphonies that move us to tears, helping us to solve the climate crisis.
Exactly. AI could become our partner in tackling some of humanity's, like, biggest challenges.
Hmm.
It could amplify our creativity, our problem-solving abilities, our understanding of the universe.
But on the other hand, you've got the potential for AI to be misused,
Yeah.
to make decisions that are harmful to humans, to even, like, surpass our intelligence and become a threat.
Yeah.
It's a lot to wrap our heads around.
It definitely is, and that's why it's so crucial to have these conversations, to explore the ethical implications, to think critically about the kind of future we want to create with AI.
Well, this deep dive has certainly given me a lot to ponder. I'm going to be thinking about that salsa dancing robot for a long time to come, but more importantly,
Yeah.
I'm going to be thinking about the bigger questions that Brake's research raises, like, what does it mean to be human in an age of increasingly intelligent machines?
Yeah.
And what kind of future do we want to build together?
Those are the questions we all need to be asking ourselves, and I hope this conversation has inspired you to, learn more, to engage in these discussions, and to help shape the future of AI in a way that benefits all of humanity.
Absolutely. This is just the beginning of the conversation, and we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on the potential of AI? What excites you? What worries you? Share your comments, questions, and insights below.